It's actually pretty crazy when you look into it, how many scrapped legend abilities Respawn have gone through, including a whole set for Revenant Reborn that was scrapped, and also Catalyst Sold ability, which would have been the most useless ability in game. But first of all, a lot of you Apex OGs may remember back in the day a legend called Husaria was leaked, and this legend was actually an early version of Maggie, and the legend had an extremely weird ability, a shotgun leg. So whenever you kicked a door, it would also shotgun the door at the same time, so you only had to kick doors once. Also, of course this ability worked on enemies. The thing is, for this ability you had to have shotgun shells in your inventory at the same time, but unfortunately, I guess because this ability was a bit too complex just for a passive, it was scrapped, and Husaria was later turned into Maggie, although she maintained the love for shotguns. But what about our newest legend, Alter? We actually know weirdly enough Alter is a product of scrapped abilities, as her tactical was seen years ago, and it was seen in Revenant's original kit, not to be confused with the Revenant Reborn scrapped kit that I'm going to talk about later. He's had a lot of scrapped abilities, but back when Revenant was leaked in 2019, his abilities of Shadow Walk, Shadow Step, and Shadow Door were leaked, and the important thing is, the Shadow Door ultimate ability was create a doorway through walls that lasts 5 seconds, and somehow nearly 5 years later this ultimate ability got turned into a tactical. I guess that shows how weird the world of Apex balancing is. Also, he had an ability called Shadow Step where he sent out a Shadow Revenant and could teleport to that Shadow Revenant. So I guess that ability was just mirage decoys, but you can teleport to your decoy. I would love to play with this ability, and by the looks of it, Respawn will probably use it in a future legend. But you may notice, for these abilities I've been talking about, I've had no gameplay because the gameplay of these legends hadn't been leaked. But let's change that with Catalyst, because she originally had a completely different set. She was literally a Fortnite legend. Her tactical was called Ferro Shot, and this tactical, I kid you not, would literally let her build these things, basically little pieces of cover, and it really reminds me of that Rainbow Six character. And then her ultimate was just really something strange, the Iron Tower. Ferro fluid rises up from below, pushing you upwards while creating a tall solid column under you. I mean, look at the state of this. I cannot see how this is useful these days. It gives you a little bit of high ground, but when you're up there, you are just a standing target. And I guess that's why Catalyst's abilities were heavily changed, and she actually stole abilities from another leaked legend. And this legend was called Scryer, and he had an ultimate of Shadow Wall. Unleash a creeping wall of darkness that blocks sight and blinds enemies, which, you know, later became Catalyst's straight up ultimate. And a lot of you are probably wondering why I'm calling Scryer a he when Scryer is clearly just a blue dummy. Well, it turns out you've actually seen Scryer and you probably just don't remember, because this guy right here is called Commander Scryer, and I don't think it's a coincidence that these two share the same name. Respawn clearly had a plan, but I don't know why a pilot would be throwing up a shadow wall. Maybe this guy goes a bit deeper than we realise, or maybe Respawn just had some insane lore planned. And also, because I'm going to reference this video a few more times, if you're wondering how this leak came to be, basically a guy downloaded a developer version of Apex and just posted everything. It was quite a brutal leak back in the day, which was 2 years ago now. In this leak there was also a legend called Phantom, and we think Phantom was actually Respawn's attempt to bring Fade to Apex PC, because if you take a closer look at Phantom's abilities, his ultimate is literally just Fade's ultimate from Apex Mobile, a void grenade where you just drop a grenade and it sends everybody in the area into the void. The thing that may dispute the Fade theory though a bit is the fact that this legend's tactical ability was hook shot, where you could just hook onto a wall, instead of Fade's notorious ability of being able to phase rewind. So this one might stay a mystery for longer than we want it to, but hey, I'm still holding out hope that one day we see an older, cooler Fade come into PC, because that guy has so much potential. Of course though, in this video I can't go the whole video without mentioning Forge. Yes, Forge is the infamous legend that Respawn designs literally just to troll people data mine in the game. So they deliberately put Forge in the game files so people would find him, report on him, and then they just said, yeah, no, we trolled you guys, Forge is fake and Revenant is actually coming next season. And that moment definitely went down in Apex history, but when we look at the Forge abilities today, they are weirdly similar to the Final Fantasy sword we got back in the Final Fantasy event, where you could use the sword as a weapon. I mean, just look at this. You have Ground Slam, which was just straight up a thing you could do with a sword, KO Punch, where you could jump forward in a direction and then slam into the ground, which was actually really similar to one of the sword's abilities. And you also have 1-2 and On the Ropes, and when you combine these two abilities of bull rushing and also enhancing your melee to do more damage, it kind of seems very similar to the overcharge you could put on the Final Fantasy sword. So maybe Respawn looks back at Forge and were like, let's just turn him into a weapon. And you know what? I'm absolutely fine with that, because if Forge ever came back, I would like him to have different abilities, because these seem just kind of gimmicky. One thing that, hot take, is pretty gimmicky also is Revenant Reborn's original abilities, which we saw in leaks ages ago, but Respawn changed them before Rev Reborn came out, and now he is how he is, the living mini-boss of Apex. Luckily though, we have a benefit when talking about Revenant Reborn's original leaked abilities. Even though they got scrapped for us, they didn't for Apex Mobile China. Apex Mobile China added this guy, which is just straight up Revenant Reborn's old abilities. We actually learned about Revenant Reborn's scrapped abilities straight from a Respawn developer, and one of them will make you very sad. First of all, his scrapped ultimate was a 1v1 Shadow Realm, where he could select a random enemy and pull them into a Shadow Realm where only him and the enemy would be there and they could 1v1. But unfortunately, it was scrapped to Respawn devs not feeling that they could get enough benefit from what should be Revenant's most powerful ability. But here's the kicker. Revenant Reborn's original passive was going to be wall running, straight up confirmed by a developer. But unfortunately, after a lot of testing, the devs did find out this ability was just simply too situational, and a lot of the maps in Apex just aren't designed for wall running in mind. And apparently, it was just not consistently useful. On that note also, the next map, which has been leaked for a long time, was originally going to have a wall running gimmick apparently, until that was reportedly also scrapped. So for those wall running hopers, I think it's definitely off the table for a long time now, because it's been scrapped twice in the last year. And I'm sure the main people who are sad about wall running getting scrapped are Titanfall fans, so let's make them either happy or sad. I can't really tell what this will make them. As Blisk, yeah, this guy was originally meant to be a legend, and he's actually been leaked twice. First of all, he was leaked in the very early days of Apex Legends, and he has some really mediocre abilities, especially if you look at them today. But then around 2 years later, a new set of abilities been testing for him got leaked, and they were definitely notably better. I mean, he literally had a Titan ultimate that he could cool down, and the Titan would suppress a certain area. You couldn't actually get into this Titan, it was just an auto Titan that would lay down fire on a select area. He also had, guess what, wall running as a passive. Respawn have really been toying with wall running, but it just never worked, I guess. And his tactical was also called My Ring, My Rules, where he created a zone powered by the ring. So basically, I just create a smaller ring inside the ring to damage enemies. Sounds pretty powerful, I can't lie. And I feel like Respawn scrapped this tactical ability because loads of people were complaining about the ring flare mode back in Season 8, where in this mode, there was just a random chance at any location in the map, a ring would appear and force everybody to move, majorly disrupting the flow of a lot of fights. Maybe if we're lucky though in the future, Blisk could come back as a legend, but right now Blisk is in a weird position because last year it was revealed that Respawn were working on a new Titanfall/Apex game where Blisk was the main character, but unfortunately it got scrapped, which is becoming a scary pattern in the development of Titanfall games. So basically, could Blisk come one day? I don't really know, and I don't think Respawn knows either. But which is the ability from this that you'll want to come back the most? And also, subscribe if you like scrapped abilities.